everyone. Welcome to yet another session on Thought Leaders Cafe, a platform to talk about widespread challenges and find possible solutions. Today, we'll be talking about how to self-publish a book. We will be talking to Vanitha Vaidialingam. She is an author of many books. She has tried both traditional way of publishing and also self-publishing, even though we'll be diving deeper into the self-publishing aspect. She is the winner of Golden Book Award of the year 2024 and also International Tagore Award. I'm so proud to be talking to her today. We have a lot to learn from her. Let's dive in. Hey, Vanita. Thank you for joining me today. It's awesome to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really looking forward to having a chat with you on self-publishing.
Wow, I've been waiting to do this as well. I recently published a couple of children's books, and of course, it was quite a different journey between those two books. And it was all my research. I didn't talk to anybody. Whatever I found, whatever I felt optimal, I found my ways to publish it. When I announced this on LinkedIn and Facebook, many of my friends reached out and they were like, "Oh, I wanted to do this. How did you do that?" So I wrote a simple Medium article and then I published what I did. Then I was
Mm.
curious what others are doing. Then I came across your Facebook profile and I saw your book published and I was like, why don't I talk to you? So I pinged you and I'm glad that we're here together today to talk about it. So
Thank you.
let's let's start with your introduction and then we can go from there.
Okay, I'm Vanitha. I live in India, in the southern part of India, in Chennai. I'm visiting my daughter in the US currently, and I'll be going back soon. Uh, I am basically, I've done my doctorate in English literature and worked for the government in the tax department for almost 30 years,
Wow.
and then worked in some private sector in a management capacity for about 7, 8 years. And now I'm completely retired and just spending my time with my grandchildren and writing books and generally enjoying doing what I always wanted to do but never had time to do so far.
Wow. Looking forward to that time for me. It's a busy, busy day every day.
That's
Uh, so where did
yeah.
it all begin?
Actually, when I actually quit my government job, and I thought, okay, let me start doing some things which I like. So I became a freelance journalist for some time, about 5, 6 years, and I would write articles for online magazines and things. But largely, since I had a bit of a computer technology background, I would get articles on technology
I see.
rather than on stories or literature or anything. And then I tried helping out some students online with their literature programs and all that.
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
thought, okay, let me try my hand at writing, because around that time my mother-in-law fell very ill,
Oh.
and I needed to help her, stop brooding about her illness. So
Mhm.
I would write stories and then give it to her and say, it's fresh out of the press. Read it. So it all started there, and I started writing a lot of stories. And I wrote one autobiographical book.
Oh, nice.
And actually, it wasn't meant to be a book, it was meant for her entertainment, but it came out pretty well. And one day, a friend of ours who was just visiting us saw the manuscript on the table and said, "Wow, this is so good! I am taking it for publishing."
Oh, sweet.
So
Wow, you were
that's
lucky.
when actually it got published, and of course, it. I didn't know there was so much work to be done. When you have to do publishing. So, though we started off in say 2012 beginning, it was almost 2014 before the book could be published, actually.
Okay.
So there was a lot of things I wanted to cut out, and there was a lot of things they wanted me to cut out,
Mhm.
and some things like, it's not politically correct, don't say this,
Okay.
or let's say it in a different way. So a lot of writing, rewriting, and editing, And however many times you look at the manuscript, you'd find some typos,
Of course.
and you'd
Yeah.
find spelling errors, you'd find alignment errors, a whole lot of things. And by the time the book came out, it was, I think, a quarter of the size it originally set out to be. So,
That's the beauty of it. After editing, you bring down the volume, but you have to
correct.
retain the same content and the message. Yeah,
So
editing is
it became a
important
very
part.
slim book.
Yeah.
And also, since it was autobiographical, a lot of people were involved,
Mhm.
So I had to get a permission. Can I say this about you? Can
Mhm.
I quote this incident? Because I mean, it was an interaction between them and me, and certain things happened to the two of us together. They might not want to share it,
Mhm.
and I had to get their permissions. And then despite getting permission, I still removed their names, and I
Okay.
just used alphabets in that place. Anyway, that was a traditional publishing journey that happened to me,
Mhm.
and I had a lot of help from the publisher. And this particular publisher was not a vanity publishing kind. Actually, they helped me publish it, and they even gave me a royalty.
Okay.
So,
That's nice.
uh, and they launched the book. They had a launch event for it, and they launched the book for me. And they printed only 1,000 copies, and I think we sold about 800 copies on the first day itself.
Wow. That's
So
a
that is a
huge
really
number.
big sale
Yeah.
also for them and for me too. And thereafter, it was only a few copies which were hanging around. But then marketing, I don't think was something that they did beyond that, except for
Mhm.
the launch date and this thing. They did not do much marketing. So then it just kept sitting on the shelves, the rest of the
Okay.
books. And later on, they closed down their publication division and sold the entire rights to another publisher called Zen Publishing.
Mhm.
And then it kept sitting on Zen's bookshelves for a long time.
Mhm.
Then I thought, I mean, nothing is happening. So let me take back the rights and,
Mhm.
get down to self publishing. That's when I started thinking of self publishing.
I see.
Meanwhile, I had a collection of short stories, which I thought,
Mhm.
okay, let me start with that. And I think
Mhm.
you've read that War Within. It
Yeah.
started off as pedestals and other stories.
Mhm.
And I initially self-published it as pedestals and other stories. And then later on changed the title because I thought pedestal sounds very pedestrian. Hey, the advantage of self-publishing was that, I could change the order of the stories, I could change the cover, and if I felt this is not selling very well, I could, redesign and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was a very flexible, very comfortable thing. I started off with Amazon only. I
Okay.
didn't try any other publishers initially. So Amazon gives you a complete what to say ecosystem to do your thing. So they allow you to design your cover. They have a
Yeah.
cover designer. They have a book sizing option. Then they have a Kindle creative thing in which you can create your Kindle version, and then they guide you literally through
Yeah.
the PDF process also. So they give you a PDF preview, they give you, and you know exactly how your book will look at the end of the exercise.
Right.
So that is very comfortable, for a person who's starting out on that journey. So I went with Amazon to start with. Uh, and only thing I find Amazon pricing is a little high.
Yes.
It's a little high, and I don't know if readers would be interested in spending that much money just to buy a book, which is, you'll
Yes.
spend 2 3 hours on it, and unless they're passionate readers. And I think that's very rare these days.
Okay, the way I started was I tell stories for my daughter as bedtime stories every night. And it's been like years I've been doing that. And then I thought, why don't I just start writing it? I love writing. Writing is one of my passions. And when I started to ask people, I reached out to publishers near me, and I was like, I wanted to publish this book, and I wanted a code for publishing this book. And the code I got was shocking to me. It was around $7,000 for a children's book. I was like, this much money, I cannot afford to have my children's book published. It's
True.
probably like 28 pages or something. I didn't know why it costed this much. So I published that quote to a writers forum on Facebook. And I said, this is what is the quote I got. I have no idea about publishing. What do you guys think? And they came up with this term called vanity publishers. I didn't know what is
Mm,
traditional publishing, what's vanity publishing. There was an option for self-publishing. I'm just very new. It's just
mm,
somebody with an idea. I want to see my stories published. They said, okay, don't go with these people because they are not actually traditional publishers, and
mm,
they're taking it for exactly what you publish on Amazon. It's on Amazon, but they do have different platforms where they go and market. But is it
mm,
worth $7,000? Absolutely no. So that's when I started to research about self-publishing, and I learned more about Amazon and how it works. And because it's children's books and it's not for grown-ups, we had to come up with pictures and pictures related to the stories. Then I found another publishing group, and they were offering to do the book for around $300. And
mm,
they said this is the lowest they can go, and they're giving me at this price because for my future books, I can go with them. It's like a
mm,
deal they're giving me. Then I went with them. They charged me for editing. They charged me for illustrations. Illustrations are around 10 pictures for the story,
mm,
and then for publishing on Amazon itself. So I negotiated with them. I can create my own account. I can publish it myself. Just edit and then give me the pictures. And when they edited and gave me the version they had, it was worse than what I had. I
mm,
just wrote rough writing,
mm,
and they came back with to me, and it seemed like they had just run through some AI tool, and all the simple words are just transformed into something that kids will have to look up a dictionary to find out what the meaning
mm,
was. And then I knew, okay, this is not going to work. I wanted my books to be as simple as possible and kids are readily understanding.
mm.
Because when we write, what are we trying to do? We are trying to send a message. And if
Correct.
you're complicating that message, then what is the purpose of writing? And
Mm,
it's for kids. So I said, I'll do the editing myself. I kind of maintained my original version and kept it simple. But of course, illustrations are way complex, so I couldn't do. So I hired them only for illustrations and paid that $300. I published
mm.
it myself too. They did the formatting too. So
Okay.
there's a lot of nuances with formatting, with margin, bleed or not bleed.
Mm,
Then they gave me the final file that I can upload on Amazon. I created an KDP account and then uploaded the file. And of course, as you said, Amazon gives you all those tools to preview and see how it looks.
correct.
And it
Mm,
also gives you those validations. They say, okay, this is not right. You have to fix
mm,
it, fix the margin, fix that, fix this. So after doing that, I published it. And I actually bought my own book to see the paper version of it. That's a different feeling. Yeah, so that is how my journey was with my first book. But for the second, I understood that going with these people, $300 is not worth.
mm,
Anyway, again, my intention was also not to earn money. I wanted to get the messages across. It's only my friends and family who actually bought it. I haven't marketed it enough yet. So that's something that I wanted to learn from you. How do you market? But I'll just finish how I did my second book. So I hired somebody from Upwork where I said, just do the illustrations for me, I'll do the rest. And I paid around $120 to do that. And that is
mm,
all. It's almost less than half of what I paid earlier. And editing I
mm,
did, formatting, everything else I did. But formatting challenges I had because I use Mac and I like working with Windows and it was a totally different license. So I paid another $20 to get the formatting done for both of my books, paper book as well as KDP I did, just the paper book. And then I
mm,
published that. So those two are two different journeys, but the second one was probably more optimal in terms of cost and also time. This person from Upwork delivered it in a week, but the
okay.
first book took around 4 months to
Mm,
6 months, something like that. Yeah, and I had to
okay.
follow up multiple times to do that. So if
Mhm,
I'm going to publish another book, I'm just going to go with illustrations. If it is children's book, in Upwork. And if it is just write up, I'll just do everything by myself. So that's my journey. Yeah, so the marketing part is something that I have challenges with. I don't know where to market. Do you run a Facebook ad? Because I do want to reach out to a lot of kids. So what is your approach doing that?
So I only recently started doing some marketing. So basically, what I have done is I've joined a large number of Facebook groups.
Okay.
So in Amazon, what is most important is the number of reviews you have for your books.
Yes.
So it's very important to get reviews. So many of these Facebook groups are willing to read your book and review it for you. And they have what is called review trains and all that.
Hmm.
So a large number of people join a train, and you'll get allocated books to read and review. It need not be the person who's reviewing your book will not be reviewing you will not be reviewing their book. It's not a swap review or anything.
Right.
So it'll
Okay.
be a completely different person. So let's say about 20 people join the group, then somebody in the group's books will be allocated to me, my books will be allocated to somebody, and then everybody
Okay.
reads, and we have a 3-day window in which to complete the reading and then submit the review to Amazon or Goodreads or to even Facebook and to Instagram. They do
Okay.
all these reviews, and the number of reviews you gather also makes a difference in your marketing of your books. So the more stars you have, the more people will come and buy it and all that. And also this reviewing helps you in a way, because if there are mistakes, typos in your book, or there are any illustration errors, or the book doesn't really look that good, then they will message you privately saying that there are problems in this book, please correct it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in a sense, they also help you edit and refine your book. So
Hmm.
all these face group, there are a number of them, a huge number of them who do this kind of activity. And also among them, there are many people who just buy your book because they like it.
Hmm.
So you have a market also over there,
Hmm.
and they word of mouth spreads, and people among their friends, among their groups, they would recommend your books, and some sales happen through that. And then I do a lot of Instagram advertising.
Okay.
So what I do is like for War Within, I have done several. So I pick up a story from War Within, and then I will illustrate it myself, the entire thing, and I'll add music and listening to it, music and text to it, and then create a small video and upload it to
I see.
Instagram. So I
Okay.
achieved some amount of sales through that.
Mhm.
And the other things that they recommend, but which I have not done so far, is going to libraries and having a signing day there,
I see.
or going to a bookstore and requesting for a signing. I did request Crossword in India whether I could come and do a signing day over there, but they were charging me 20,000 just to
Oh my
uh,
God.
spend
That's
half
really
an hour
nice.
over there.
Okay.
And I said, it's a little too much. I mean, that much of marketing, I don't even know if my books will sell that many
Of course.
copies for me to make the 20,000 rupees. So I said, "ठीक है, नहीं करना है." So I just left it at that. I did not pursue that thing, but that is one of the lines that a lot of people do. And then there are these book fairs. In
Mm,
India, at least, I don't know about US,
we
but in
do.
India, we have these book fairs, Chennai Book Fair, Delhi Book Fair, and all these things. So many of these self-publishing websites ask you if you would like to publish and take your books to these different fairs.
Okay.
So I have some of my books published through Notion Press in India. That is
Hmm.
the self-publishing this thing. So they often go to the Delhi Fair with their books, whatever books are published on their this thing, and they charge you around 40,000 rupees for premium display.
I
And
see.
it depends on where and how you want to display your books, and the number of footfalls that would happen to your so if it's prominent, then there are more footfalls towards your books and people will buy it and all. Chennai Book Fair, I did display my books, but
Okay.
that was because a friend of mine had a stall there. I just
Okay.
went and put my books there, and some of it got sold, some of it.
Okay.
I've not even taken accounts from him, but yeah, some of
Okay.
it got sold. I know because somebody wrote to me saying that I read your book and I liked it and stuff like
Nice.
that.
Okay. Oh, people do
So
write back, like directly to the
yeah,
author.
a lot of people
Okay.
write back saying it's very,
Okay.
very nice. I enjoyed it and I could relate to it, and
Mhm.
some scold also.
That's expected. When once you put yourself out there, I think you should be
Yeah.
prepared for any kind of feedback.
Yeah, so some of them say, just quote totally, I could not relate to what you're talking about. Basically, maybe because, cultural difference.
Hmm.
So, what I would say is perfectly okay in an Indian context, but might not be something that they even
Hmm.
comprehend in their culture.
Right.
So, that difference also, and ultimately, I found that when we write in a Indian style because that's a
Right.
culture we brought up in.
Right.
And even my children's books, I find I write the stories the way I tell the stories to my children.
Me
And
too. Yeah.
we have a long tradition of storytelling in India, which is completely different from the way they tell stories in the US. Noticing that very sharply because I tell stories to my grandchildren, and my daughter tells stories in a very different way because she
Mhm.
relates to the mothers in this area, and those mothers are telling the stories in a particular way, so she tells the children in a particular way.
Okay.
So there is a lot of gap. uh, so marketing, let's coming back to marketing.
Okay.
Marketing is it's a whole ball game by itself, and it takes a lot more energy than writing the book.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you will have to be at it day and night if you really want to market your books, unless you're extremely lucky. In which case, your book might just fly off the shelves on its own. Like my Excel book is just flying off the shelf on its own. I'm not doing anything for it. In fact, I've not even mentioned that I've written a book like that to anybody. But every week, I sell at least 5 to 6 copies.
Hmm. Wow.
So
That's a good number.
so that's
Yeah.
just going on its own. I mean, I cannot take any credit apart from the fact that probably the content is so good that they are liking it.
Hmm.
So that brings me back to one thing which they say content is very important. So, what you
Right.
say, how you say it, whether you're able to culturally relate to it, all that makes a difference in your target audience. Who will be your target audience? And that target audience basically can be for us, I think, in India.
Hmm. I think, yeah, that is where people relate to it. So it's totally
Yes.
understandable.
Mm.
Culture is very different here, and it's like watching your Tamil movie and English movies, right? They're culturally very different. Initially, I
Correct.
was just into Tamil movies, and I didn't relate to English. But now that I'm living here, I relate to both. I can switch perspectives based on what I'm watching, and it takes the time. And if you haven't visited India, it's very difficult to connect to the culture there. Yeah, and
Actually, I had one lady write to me telling me, um, when I read the title of your book, This Close Encounters,
uh-huh.
she said, I thought you're going to talk to me about witches and magical encounters and stuff like that. And I didn't appreciate your book.
Oh.
I said, fine. I mean, I'm not talking about witches. I never said I'm going to talk about witches. I'm talking
Yeah.
about some spiritual experiences which is deep seated in the Indian psyche.
Yep.
And it was written for an Indian audience. So, Chalta, it's okay.
I
That's
think
how.
here, the Harry Potter type of books
Huh.
sell a lot. People are big fans of those books. So if they hear Enchanted, that it kind of relates to the experience they've had there, and it's
Right.
understandable from their perspective too.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Um,
perfectly understandable.
yeah. And you have received awards too. Do you want to share what awards you've got and how you nominated yourself and created a platform for you?
Okay. This Close Encounters got an award called the Golden Book Award,
Okay.
and that is a very competitive award. There were 30,000 books which were submitted for that award.
Hmm.
And mm, I did it on an impulse, you know. I said, okay, let me also try what's wrong. So I just sent in my book, and then uh, I suddenly got a message from them saying that your book has been selected
Wow.
it's been shortlisted. So I said, wow. I mean, at least I got to the short list, and short list was, I think, 10 books.
Mhm.
They
Out of,
shortlisted 10
wow,
books out of 30,000. They
mhm,
shortlisted 10. So getting into 10 was great experience.
of
I was
course.
really thrilled.
Yeah.
And thereafter, within 2, 3 days, I got a message saying you've been selected for the award.
Oh my God, this is amazing news. I can't imagine how much happy you would be
Yeah,
as an
I couldn't
author.
believe myself actually, the thing, because it's a book I've written in 2014, you know. So I just put it down there and then on an impulse, and it was really great. It was a great feeling. So
Yeah.
that's an award I got for this. Then later on, again I submitted this and War Within. Both the
Mhm,
books I submitted for the Rabindranath Tagore
mhm.
International Award Book Affair, and for both the books I got an award.
My God, that's like series of awards.
Yeah, it was
Amazing.
following one upon the other. And I had also submitted War Within to Lift magazine for an award, and that also it got selected. So I
Yes.
got 3 awards in a row actually.
That's awesome. And I can see why, because I'm reading that book. It's a very different book. I mean, if you audiences, if they want to know about this, it's a book called War Within. It's available on Amazon. It talks about why we are different. Exactly the same conversation that we are having right now. I'm different because all my life experiences are influencing my thought right now. It's not
Correct.
just an absolute thing that's happening right now, but it's everything that has happened past in my life, how your brain works. So, and it is not going to be static. They evolve based on experiences. So that is where it goes. And some stories start with somebody hating the mouse versus how they fall in love with the mouse and take care of it. So how they evolve, and anybody can relate to it. Because
Mm.
it's natural, and that's what everybody goes through,
It's basically
and
a
it can be
psychological
changed.
insight
Yeah,
into the person.
right.
And I really enjoyed writing that book, you know, the different
Nice.
stories.
Yeah.
Some of it, my own experience, some of it, what I see around me and how people react to things. It
Mhm.
was really fun writing that book
Yeah.
because I could sit and think why they're doing what they are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and what is making them do that, and what
Mm-hmm.
is a particular experience in their life which is making them react in a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would think, how would I react if I was there, and if I
Yeah.
had the same experience, how would I have reacted? And that made a very interesting study for me. So
Yeah.
actually, the study about that mouse, I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed that story a lot, writing that story a lot. The triumph.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed writing that story because I have seen people who are very obsessive about, cleanliness, and
Right.
they take it to extremes, and then becomes a kind of OCD with them.
Oh, yeah. Correct.
And ultimately, what is OCD? It is just your upbringing, your thinking, the patterns that you have created for yourself. And but is that the reality?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to be? And I really like the way the character slowly evolved into a person being, who loves the mouse, who
Right.
looks at the
Right.
mouse and then see he becomes so humane. He
Right.
descends from being almost a robotic character who does only as per rules, and then ends up being very humane.
Right. Yeah. I think we all think we are behaving like a human all the time, but it's just you disconnect from that world. He couldn't connect with mouse. Mouse was a nuisance to him, so that's why he was getting irritated. Versus when he has to tend to a mouse to save the mouse, so then you start getting that feeling of empathy and care and love, and you eventually fall in love with something. Then you realize, oh, why was I like that earlier? Right? So you can relate to both worlds,
Yes.
unless you actually experience it. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a really beautiful story. And every story has sends the same message, how they evolved
Yeah.
from one perception to another.
The
And it's
Precipice is
really,
another story which really, I
Mhm.
really enjoyed writing.
Okay.
You reached that, the
Yeah.
precipice?
Yeah,
So,
it's really beautiful again. So I actually wanted to come to you with another question. So you have all these short stories. They're not connected. They're absolute
yeah,
stories. I can pick up any page and I start and finish
yeah.
with that story. So how do you allocate time for writing? Is it like 1 hour a day, or like I want to just dedicate a special day for writing, or how do you manage your time writing it?
Actually, having retired, I don't have much of activity at home. So I usually sit down by around 10 o'clock in the morning on my computer, and I work till 1 every day. And in that time, I write a variety of things. I won't write only the story. So there will be many half finished stories on my computer. There will be some articles on my computer which I have not finished and which I've been thinking about, or I got stuck somewhere because I need some piece of information from somewhere. Or there's a half finished book which is still
Okay.
on my computer, not done. So depends on my mood on that particular day. If I feel today, okay, let me have a relook at the story and complete it.
Hmm.
Sometimes it'll get completed, sometimes it won't.
Uh-huh.
It varies. So my mood may be today, okay, I read a lot of our
Hmm.
scriptures like Upanishads and Vedas and things. I write a lot on Upanishads,
Okay.
and there are several articles of mine which are published on the Upanishads and the secrets that lie within the Upanishads.
Okay.
So the book that is pending is The Secret of the Upanishads.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Make it
So
very
it's
simple for people
half
like
done.
us.
It's half done,
Okay.
and I've sort of not found time once I've come here. But there are so depends on what I am working on, whatever my mood is on that particular day. So if it gets finished, it's done.
Hmm.
So I can't say that I'm going to publish a book tomorrow or in 10 days or 15 days. There's no timeline, no.
Okay.
You get done when it gets done.
Yeah. Nobody's behind you for get me the book I need to publish. It's your
Yeah,
own time. That's the best part of self-publishing too.
yeah.
You have all the flexibility. You can go and update. You can decide whatever you want. That's really nice. So other than Amazon, do you have any other self-publishing platforms?
Yeah, so I have published most of my books, all my books, in fact, on Amazon and on Notion Press in India.
Okay.
This Notion Press is also having a similar platform to thing, but of late they have made it a paid service. So if
Okay.
you want to publish, self-publish, then you have to pay, and when you there are some basic charges they charge you, and that charge will cover them putting up your book in Amazon and in Flipkart.
I see.
So they say
Okay.
that they will market it for you there, but marketing is really not something that they do.
Hmm.
They may charge you for that marketing, but they don't do any real marketing in that sense. Like they don't go out and get you clients or anybody who purchases your books. You have to do all that work yourself. But they offer what is called discounted sales sometimes. So like you can order your own books, a set of
Hmm.
books at a discounted price and so at particular times in the year, some sale, festival sales or something. So if
Okay.
you buy it in bulk, then you can go and distribute it to some booksellers or
I
somebody
see.
and at the market cost and get your royalty out of that.
I see. Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, Notion Press is one, and I've also done it in draft to digital. I
Hmm.
published my young adults books, this Close Encounters and War Within, in draft to digital also.
I see.
So that is part of Smashwords. They have been with Smashwords for a very long time now.
Hmm.
I think when I first wrote War Within, I published it in Smashwords in e-form.
I see.
So, so draft to digital is part of Smashwords, this thing, but the print version is draft to digital and electronic version is Smashwords.
I see. Okay. Wow. This is the first time I'm hearing about all of these. I knew
Uh,
only Amazon. That's good to know. Probably I'll add the links to all of this
there are
in the
lots of
comment.
them. There is something called Lulu. I think of late Lulu has initially Lulu was charging some money for self-publishing, but now I think they've removed that charge, so it's
Mhm.
free now.
Nice.
Publishing is free there, and there are plenty of publishers,
Okay.
plenty of them. Apart from
Okay.
Amazon, there are plenty of them. But I don't think any platform is as easy to use as Amazon is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they guide you properly through the entire system. So it's beautifully designed, Amazon. The others are also okay, but what happens in each platform you go to, you will have a completely different formatting requirement. You will have a
Oh,
completely book
okay.
cover design. They will say that we want the front cover to measure this much, back cover to have these dimensions, and the spine should be this size, and it will be
Mhm.
completely different in each one of those publishing platforms. So
Okay.
unless you're very familiar with the platform, I've been using it regularly, it can be a pain.
I see. Yeah. Even to just get the
Keep
Amazon one.
reformatting your
Yeah.
thing. So you'll be going back and forth till you get, and it takes a long time to publish anything that way.
Mm.
The Notion Press I'm pretty familiar with, and Amazon I'm familiar with. Why I selected Notion Press is Amazon doesn't have a print on demand in India.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. Okay.
So they have it only for America and other
Mm-hmm.
countries, but they don't have it in India. So when the Indian audience wants to buy the book, they have to pay $20 shipping. So your
Oh,
book might cost just $8, but $20 will be shipping cost. So
beautiful.
that is why I started publishing in Notion Press in India. So any
I see.
Indian audience asks me for the book, I will point to Notion Press, and the others I will say Amazon.
Oh, I wish Amazon had print on demand in India too. There are a
I
lot of
know it.
great readers there, and they might want to see the physical version because I don't prefer reading on screen because I work with screen all the time, being a engineering manager. So I prefer that really like feeling the book and
Correct.
reading with it, and especially just before going to bedtime. That's my
Mhm,
reading time.
mhm,
Yeah. And I wanted to quickly touch upon the AI, artificial
mhm,
intelligence tools available these days.
mhm.
Illustrations are costly. If somebody is going with children's books, they have to pay really high on illustrations.
Yeah.
Even if it is $120, not everybody will be able to afford that. So, what are the other options available for them um, to optimize their cost of publishing the book?
So from what I understand, is a lot of people, uh, especially illustrators, are objecting to the use of AI in getting illustrations, and justifiably, because if AI has to be trained on some model, they must be using all these illustrations which these people are doing to train the AI. And after all, AI will just pick parts from here, parts from there, and then put it together and give it to you. Uh, in a sense, it's not very comfortable for the illustrators and artists that this is being done. But in another sense, I would say that it's time to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
It has come to stay. AI has come to stay. And it's important to understand that um, if I take an art, if I'm looking at a painting on a wall, or I'm looking at an illustration done by XYZ, I can very easily copy it if I'm a
Yep.
good artist myself. And maybe I not take all the elements from him or from that person. I might take it from four different people to create my own art. That doesn't mean it's not my own art, because I learned from the masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learn from all the masters, and whoever is teaching me, their style is bound to influence me.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? So in that sense, I suppose it's an argument that anybody would give for people who can't draw.
Mm-hmm.
AI is a boon. Who can't draw, who can't pay to get the illustrations done. AI is a boon, provided you are smart enough to give the right prompts.
Right.
And even then, I would suggest it's not a nice idea to take all the illustrations from the AI and just put it in your book and then sell it. That's not a good idea. uh, parts of it, take it, rework it, and illustrate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
actually, it's like, I trace a picture,
Mm-hmm.
and over that I use my own coloring, I use my own
I see.
design, and I use my own ideas. I give a different background.
Mm-hmm.
That that is a possibility
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people can use who can't actually draw.
Okay. Yeah, I can draw. I actually tried AI tool first. Then I realized that every prompt I was giving for each of the storyline, it was giving me different images. Like if I have a lion in my first picture, then the lion looks different in my next picture. So I didn't have the consistency. So you did talk about consistent AI. So what is that?
Yeah, so Chat GPT 5, that version, has a consistent AI. Midjourney Illustrator also has a consistent AI. These are all paid services. So if you ask for a particular character and define the character, and then once you get the character you want, then you use that as a base on which you build the other characters.
I see.
So, like for instance, even a Bing image creator,
Mm-hmm.
you take, let's say, I create a character of a little girl with ponytails, black hair, blue eyes, and wearing a red frock with a happy smile. Let's say this is the prompt I've given, and I've got a image. Now I like the image. They'll give me four images. I pick one which I really like, and then I use that as a base, and I
Mm-hmm.
say they have something called a seed number. For each
Okay.
image, there's a seed number. So I will say this particular seed number, I want this girl sad.
Oh, okay.
So then
I
it will
see.
give me the same character with a sad face, or with a angry face. So whatever expressions, I want to change the expressions. I want her to be sitting, standing, walking, dancing, whatever. Then I say this same little girl, the seed number, dancing. Then I
Mm-hmm.
would get. But AI is still not very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of drawing you have to do on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen that you can just pick it up and you put it. It doesn't
Okay.
happen that way at all. You get some help from it, but not all the help.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, to show you, for instance, this book of mine,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I have this elf and this dog.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful illustration. Yeah, I can see
So
there.
this elf, I got it from the AI originally,
Mm-hmm.
uh, parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the face and the ears, I got from the AI.
Okay.
Then I used Photoshop to cut out the face, cut out the hands, legs,
Mm-hmm.
everything, the different parts.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I would do, I put it together in different ways.
I see. Okay.
So if he's sitting, then I'd fold the legs and make it, or if he's standing, so somewhere you'll have his hands out.
Mm-hmm. Can
So
you
this
raise it a
hand
little?
would go
Okay.
up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, okay.
I would draw the same hand in different levels.
I see.
But
Nice.
a lot of drawing. Here, for instance, it's lifting its neck here. Uh, Here it has its neck bent. It's the
Mm.
same deer,
Okay.
but I just changed the position of the head.
Okay.
So a lot of see this background, entire background I drew in hand.
Okay. Wow.
I just put the elf in between.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to
Nice.
say is you can take help from AI, but it depends. The rest of it you still have to do.
Mm-hmm. Use it like a template and then you build on top of it, is your
Correct.
recommendation.
So that
Okay.
way, I think we will not hurt the feelings of people saying that, okay, you're stealing from me or anything. We are not really. We are doing our own work, but maybe borrowing some ideas from them.
But is it legal? Like, let's say AI is perfect, it can give, as of now, I know the laws can change, but as of now, I don't know about India, but is it
So
legal in
so
America?
far, so far there have been no cases, except last week. I think there was one hearing in some Supreme Court in US where they said that that Stable Fusion had a case in point, and that they cannot train their models on artist work of other artists.
I see.
And anybody who has used Stable Fusion and taken the work of other artists will have to pay whatever royalty. But how do you prove it? Even Stable Fusion themselves cannot say where the original art starts and where a new creation happens. It's
Yeah,
not like uh, I'm getting the work of Picasso onto my book.
yeah.
It's not like if I ask for a illustration of a long-nosed man, they will not just pick up Picasso and give it to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they probably may take the idea from Picasso's drawings, noses, or whatever, and then they may take somebody else's head or somebody else's missing eyes, and then put it all together and give me a different picture. Now, nobody can say that this is Picasso's work or this is X's work or Y's work or anything. It's
Right,
very hard.
right.
Uh, but morally, it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is true. Right.
Very
If I'm an
uncomfortable.
artist and
Uh,
if AI is trained using mine and I can see my style of art and someone else's generated art, I mean, it will
Correct.
hurt my sentiments. I completely understand that.
But you can't
But
even
again,
prove it. You can't
yeah,
even prove it. So it's
yeah,
very hard. So morally, I don't know. I don't think it's very right to do that, to take their art and think. Yes, get influence, learn from the best masters, work your way through thing, do whatever illustrations you can with a little bit of help from AI. Usually, I take only outlines from AI. I don't take
okay.
the pictures. I'll
Hmm.
say black and white hard outlines of a dog or a cat or a monkey or
Okay,
whatever. And then I fill it up with my own colors, my own designs and things so that
okay.
I'm not stealing anybody's work.
So do you use Adobe Photoshop to build on top of this template?
Yeah. So there is also an online free thing called Photopea. It's as good
Hmm.
as Photoshop.
Okay,
So I mostly use that. Photopea I use.
okay.
Photoshop, I don't have a license
I
for it.
see.
So I use
Okay,
Photopea.
okay.
And I use simple drawing, Microsoft Paint.
Get to the basics.
Yes. I use Paint and I use Photopea. These are two
Okay.
things that I use. Sometimes, earlier there used to be a software called Flash.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't know if
used
it
it.
still exists now. Earlier I was using that, but
Hmm.
not lately. For animation, I used to do some bit of animation earlier for my
Hmm.
some office work, and I was using Flash for that. It used to come out really well with Flash. But
Yeah,
I
Adobe products are always amazing, including Flash. Flash, yeah, it went out of market long back, but I enjoyed working with Flash too. I was not a Flash developer, I was a Flex developer, which actually
okay.
gets converted into Flash, and there are a lot of Flash integrations
Uh,
that we did. But yeah, it's out of the market. Yeah, thanks so much, Vanita. I think, yeah, it's almost an
you,
hour. Uh, Amazing conversation, and I really
thank
enjoyed this. And there were a lot of insights that I am taking from this discussion. Yeah, hopefully this is useful for anybody who's interested in writing the books. And thank you so much for your time
thank
today.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.